What's up everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we are checking out Dutch Fury, meet the makers of Holland's most extreme cars. So yeah, that's going to be crazy. Let's see these extreme cars we got here from Holland, and yeah, let's get it going guys. This video was actually recommended from one of you guys on our Discord community. So thank you so much for the video suggestion. If you guys want to suggest videos for me to react to, join our Discord community. Link will be down in the description down below. So go check that out guys. And without further ado, let's get right onto the video and see what we have here today.
The Dutch have a saying, God made the earth, but the Dutch made Holland. And
That's
it's
so true, bro.
Half of this country lies below sea level, and a huge amount of it, including this place where we are right now, is built on reclaimed land. And that just sums up the attitude of the Dutch perfectly. If there's a problem, they fix it. And if they want something, they make it.
Wow.
This is a Dutch story. This is the story of Donkervoort.
Donkervoort.
Netherlands might not be the first country you'd look in for car manufacturers, let alone those of blisteringly fast Nürburgring lap record breakers. But nestled in the center of this small country is a company that for 40 years has been doing exactly that. From humble, familiar-looking beginnings to radically aggressive track monsters, Donkervoort has stood the test of time and evolved considerably along the way. It all starts with a Lotus 7. As a teenager, a young Joop Donkervoort, the man at the heart of our story, saw one parked outside a hotel and was immediately smitten. A decade or so on, and Joop finally had the resources to order his kit car, and he immediately ran into some issues. It became apparent the car of his dreams was in fact not legal for Dutch roads at all. They weren't big or safe enough to pass Dutch homologation. If Joop was to get his car, he was going to have to build it himself.
Dit zal ik zeker doen. That was Mr. Donkervoort. Here I am out driving.
So let's see how it is.
Chassis number 4 of Joop Donkervoort's cars. And who should pull up but the man himself? All Joop Donkervoort had wanted was his Lotus.
Wow.
And now he had the prospect of having
bro,
to
that
build
does
his
look
own
kind of
car.
smooth, like on the road.
And that's exactly what he did. But he was looking to build something that would suit him better. That would be a better all-round car. He really wanted it to be more reliable so he and his wife could drive down to the south of France. He wanted it to be more comfortable, and of course it had to pass those Dutch homologation tests, which included having a wider chassis. And the result is this, the S7.
Like bro, I wouldn't mind riding one of those around
more
town,
comfortable,
you know? It looks pretty
elegant.
insane, I must say.
There's something wonderfully optimistic about a young man taking on a project as ambitious as creating your own car.
Yeah.
Even when the platform has already been worked on and you know it's a tried and trusted idea, still having to develop it, sell it, make it available to customers must have been an absolutely daunting prospect, and somehow a young Joop Donkervoort made it work.
Wow,
We'll say 78 on the paperwork.
That looks sick, man.
But we all know that this body style had been around for quite some time.
Look at that,
because it works.
But it was only the beginning. Donkervoort continued to refine and develop the S7 and eventually felt it was sufficiently removed from its origins that the S7 became the S8, a number that would stick around for quite some time to come.
By 1988, Donkervoort was 10 years old and time for a celebration. So they built this.
Whoa.
The D10!
D10.
Where Donkervoort had been making cars that were comfortable cruisers, the D10 was an unashamed track beast. Its completely minimalist design and 650 kilogram curb weight made those 188 horsepower on offer go a long way, giving it a 0 to 60 time of 4.5 seconds, which at the time was Ferrari F40 territory.
Now the D10 was sportier, more aggressive than any Donkervoort that had gone before, but arguably what's most important about it is its name. Donkervoort had dropped the S prefix of its previous cars and adopted it its own proud D.
Wow.
This meant the end of the kit car age,
even nicer
leaving
than the
behind that
one.
Lotus legacy and moving into its own automotive world.
Exactly, man.
As the celebration model, only 10 of these were ever made.
Only 10?
Now where the original S7 was an arguably more accommodating, more comfortable version than its Lotus counterpart, This clearly is set up for the track, or at least some high-speed enjoyment. I mean, the fact that there's nothing between me and the...
Let me know your thoughts on this one. Would you like ride this around town? Like for me, bro, for sure. That looks like it's unique, you know. You won't see these very often, so bro, that is insane.
Air coming crashing out my face speaks volumes to that. Donkervoort was stepping away from its Lotus origins and really finding a home for itself in the automotive world. But the D10 had been a limited production car. It needed something more accessible to the masses. Enter the D8 Zetec.
If the name wasn't enough of a giveaway, this car was fitted with the new Ford Zetec engine, and it was an opportunity to re-engineer the car with a new chassis. Now the D8 name is not just important to this car, but in fact every car that Donkervoort have produced since has had that moniker. It was a sign that it was very much its own entity, not beholden to other manufacturers' car, but its own unique mark. Donkervoort's relationship with Ford had gone back to its very start. Every single Donkervoort had one Ford engine or another, but by the 90s that relationship was being strained. Donkervoort would be looking for a new engine soon, but before the company turned its back on Ford, there was one last hurrah: the D8 Cosworth. The D8 Cosworth would be the most powerful car Donkervoort produced with a Ford engine, and seeing as it is a more powerful car, I brought along a more powerful driver.
What I think Drew actually meant was he wanted to bring somebody else along to do the silly hair shots. So this is the D8 Cosworth, and it's actually in a very rare touring specification, of which apparently only 4 were built. There's also D8 Cosworth Sport version. So what about this engine then?
Oh, look
It's
at that
very much
sound,
from its
bro.
era. It's a 2-litre
That sounds
turbocharged
quite crazy,
Cosworth
bro.
engine, very boosty, and you can hear all that sort of waves crashing on beaches soundtrack.
Wow.
Takes you back to the mid-90s, certainly. It's the sort of engine you just don't get these days. We've got 220 brake
that's cool.
horsepower and 214 pounds-foot of torque from this engine.
Suspension.
It feels
quite
pretty
neat as
lively,
well.
I can tell you. They say 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds, but it feels quicker than that once it's on boost. I wanted to drive a Donkervoort for a long time, ever since I remember it doing
I mean,
something
it is
like
quite small,
Nürburgring
so
Nordschleife.
it's small, so you can feel the speed much more. Like you'll feel it more since it's smaller. It's not a heavy car. That's what I mean. So, wow, man.
That record. It's nice to finally be in one. I love all the dials along here. All the little Jaeger dials look really
Looks old
quite
fashioned.
vintage, and the view out over this bonnet as well, with the swooping arches over those front wheels. There's something almost sort of 1920s about it, which is lovely, especially with the louvres in the bonnet.
That Cosworth was the send-off for the Ford engine Donkervoorts. The relationship had lasted 20 years, but by the late 90s a new player entered the scene. Dr.
Right.
Franz Josef Pefkin was at the time the CEO of Audi. After having held a high position at Ford, he took a shine to the plucky little Dutch company, and a close relationship formed between Donkervoort and Audi.
Alright.
First attempt at a collaboration came in the form of the D20, which would have been a celebration of
D20.
Donkervoort's second decade.
Whoa.
It would have been a more powerful, stiffer and more aerodynamic
Whoa,
car.
bro.
Unfortunately, before the project could be completed, legislation had changed significantly enough to make the project unviable.
That looks
Undeterred, Donkervoort and Audi ploughed
insane.
on, and cars like this, the D8 210 E-Gas wide-track, would become the underpinning of all future Donkervoorts. Not only was there a new engine supplier, but chassis manufacturing had moved in-house as well. It was the dawn of a new era for Donkervoort, and time for us
wow.
to put Henry
That's
back
just
in one.
insane.
So this is a D8 210. We've got a 1.8 litre 4-cylinder turbocharged engine. It's that ubiquitous Audi engine that ended up in all sorts of things around this time. Throttle response isn't actually as good as the Cosworth engine. It's much softer, but the chassis on this is much more like it. Unlike the touring that we were in before, this has got much less roll, feels much sharper. This is much more what you would expect from this sort of car. The engine's much smoother as well. We've also got these new seats, which are actually still used in the modern Donkervoorts
Don't see those
to
in
this
cars
day.
much
And I can see why,
nowadays.
because they're really good. This is a lot of fun.
So like, bro, everything about it is literally unique, everything, every little bit is actually pretty special to this car. Just insane, bro.
The Audi-powered D8 started to take Donkervoort completely into the world of high performance, and that reputation was cemented when a modified D8 broke the Nürburgring lap record for production cars. The news of this tiny Dutch company breaking such an impressive record quickly spread around the world, and for many became the first time they'd ever heard of the company.
By the mid-noughties, that relationship between Donkervoort and Audi was well established, but that 1.8 litre four-cylinder engine, well, it had more to give. There was an opportunity for Donkervoort to create something a little bit more interesting, something a little bit more fun. And this is what they came up with, the D8 GT.
In the D8 GT, that 1.8 litre turbocharged engine put out 265 horsepower, but with a weight of only 750 kilograms, 0 to 60 was just a shade over 3 seconds.
That's crazy.
Since Donkervoort had worked on the Cosworth engine cars, the original idea of Donkervoort of creating more comfortable versions of its Lotus 7 Origins had kind of started to fade away in favor of more raw, rugged, track-focused performance monsters, and that's exactly what this is. Not long after it was developed, the opportunity came up for Donkervoort to participate in GT4 racing. So they did.
The D8 GT found its niche in endurance racing, even racking up a win in its class in the 24-hour race of Dubai in 2011.
Wow, that
This car, in fact, has some racing pedigree. It belongs to Denis Donkervoort, the son of Joop Donkervoort, who raced this actual car in GT4. This then represents the pinnacle of what Donkervoort were able to do out of that 1.8 litre turbocharged four-cylinder Audi engine. But they couldn't keep on using this engine forever. And new homologation rules for emissions regulations meant that that engine just wasn't going to cut it. It was time for a change.
The D8 had been the first and only closed-roof Donkervoort, and as impressive as it had been, Donkervoort's customers really wanted the marque to be about uncompromised open-top motoring. The answer was the D8 GTO, O for open-top GT. In reality, it only shared around 30% of components with its predecessor, and now had the same 5-cylinder Audi engine as the then TTRS. In 2016, the most obscenely powerful Donkervoort to date was unleashed. The D8 GTO RS. With 380 brake horsepower, a 0 to 60 of 2.7 seconds, and a carbon fiber body, Donkervoorts are now almost unrecognizable from where they started. Compare an S7 to the GTO RS, and it's hard to imagine they come from the same planet, let alone from the same manufacturer. The sheer brutality of this car is testament to the evolution Donkervoort has gone through, from comfortable continent cruiser to this, a brutal speed machine. It has been quite the journey. This year, Donkervoort will unveil the next chapter in the story with a car to commemorate the 40th anniversary of what's been an incredible 4 decades. And I, for one, can't wait to see where this small, family-run business that just so happens to make some of the most ludicrously fast cars on the planet will go in the next 40 years.
Yeah, just imagine in the future what else these guys will literally come up with, you know? I was insane, like literally. Already like so I want to check out something here pretty quickly. So like this channel, they literally have car reviews and all different things. Wow, okay. Well, I'll have the link in the description below if you guys want to check out yourselves some extra videos. If you want me to react to any other ones like from this channel or anything else in general, join my Discord, guys. You can send video suggestions in the Discord community group. So yeah, I'll be waiting there for you guys. And I guess that's it for today's video. I hope you did enjoy, guys. If you did, go smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. We'll be seeing you on the next one, guys. Peace out.